This is Dan Dix here, reporting for Press for Truth. We've got a great show lined up for you today, guys, so let's just jump right into it. Joining me on the line today is Max Porterfield of Callinex Mines. Callinex.ca is the website. Max, thanks so much for joining us here today, once again on Press for Truth. The last time I spoke with you was back in early January of 2018, I think it was. I came down to your Vancouver offices there, and I remember at the time we were kind of new into President Trump's presidency. And back then I was asking you whether or not you thought it was a good idea to hedge oneself against the upcoming eventual dollar crash with tangible assets, things like precious metals. And here we are now, almost 2 years more into it. And I'm wondering, I want to get into where Callinex is now compared to then. But before we do, are you still holding the same position that it's generally a good idea to hold some precious metals as a hedge against an eventual dollar crash, even now after 2 years of Trump's presidency?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, obviously we've seen that play out in terms of the move that you've seen in the precious metal space, most notably gold year to date and the move it's had. But I do think this is a sustainable move, and I don't see a big correction in the gold space at all with all the global macroeconomic factors at play.
Yeah, we're seeing a huge uptrend. I mean, we hit some of the biggest numbers in the last, I think, 15 years recently. So what would you say is the upside right now to owning some of these precious metals? I mean, currently in a world with endless government debt, why would anybody want to be holding on to these today?
Well, I mean, if you look at the bonds, you want to hold precious metals, and precious metals are going to perform well in a negative real interest rate environment, which we're seeing here globally in many different countries around the world. Most notably in Europe, where you're looking at bond yields that are negative. So when you're buying a bond, you're actually getting paid back less money than what you bought it for. I would never thought that you're going to see that or someone would buy that, but it kind of makes a case for owning precious metals. Obviously, the big knock on precious metals historically has been it's a non-yielding asset. But when you're actually yielding nothing, you've got negative yields, then it makes a lot of sense, in my opinion, even more sense, I should say, to hold precious metals as part of your portfolio.
Well, for an exploration company, in order for you to either to soar and succeed, is that possible during a recession or a slow growth economy and a booming one? I mean, is it possible for you to still be successful in those times?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, particularly where we're focused in the exploration stage of the business, you've got an opportunity where you essentially have a area of land or that's geological opportunities or pedigree for a discovery to be made, and then be able to discover a new deposit that is going to be economic at sometime in the future or today's prices. There's a lot of value to be created there, irrespective of what the kind of global macroeconomic factors are. Obviously, higher metal prices are going to further benefit a discovery, but that's not to say that if you discover an economic mine, you're going to create real value for your shareholders.
Yeah. Well, is there a key number, a breakout number for gold in particular that you think is going to have to be achieved in order for it to really start to take off, to see kind of record numbers? What do you think the breakout number is going to have to be for gold?
I think gold right now is great where it's sitting around $1,500 an ounce. US, and I think it needs to consolidate here because it did have a move to the upside that was pretty significant earlier this year, particularly for a commodity. And so it's best to stabilize and kind of build a base here. But I do see gold potentially moving higher in the future, particularly if we go into a recession around the world.
Now, can you tell us about some of the projects that you are currently working with, what you plan to do with them? And whichever ones that you're most focused on right now?
Yeah, so Callinex is focused on 3 different camps within Canada. So the portfolio is constructed to really benefit from existing mining infrastructure in established mining jurisdictions within Canada being a tier 1 jurisdiction where you've got rule of law, you've got the geological, the pedigree of the different camps and what they've produced historically. So that being said, we're focused in the Bathurst camp of New Brunswick, the Flin Flon district of northern Manitoba, and the Buckins camp in Newfoundland. In Nash Creek, we just recently announced we'll be drilling a number of targets, both the Nash Creek and Superjack projects Those are the most advanced stage assets that we have within the company at this time. Just shortly after we met last year and had that conversation in our office, we updated the resource at Nash Creek. We had a significant growth in the deposit size from drilling that we had previously completed. And then we published our maiden PEA on the property. Now, since that time, you've had zinc pullback due to the global trade wars, the trade wars between the U.S. and China that's kind of occurred since that time. And what we're going to do at Nash Creek and Superjack is look to make new discoveries that would further enhance the potential economics around those two projects and the deposits that we currently have there. Moving into northern Manitoba is a different situation. That's where it's much earlier stage exploration. Our Pine Bay project has always had the potential to host a very large, high-grade deposit just outside of Flin Flon, Manitoba. We've taken a new tool set that we used in Bathurst quite successfully, and we're utilizing that in Flin Flon, and we'll be following up and announcing drilling plans and targeting in Manitoba very, very soon. And that's an area where you've got over 95 years of continuous production across 32 mines, where Hudbay's been the operator, but their flagship mine in the Flin Flon camp, the 777 mine, is due to shut down in early 2022. So there has been no new discovery in the camp to date. We believe that if we make that discovery, obviously, would be Hudbay would natural suitor for that. But again, it's being located in proximity to that infrastructure and really targeting for big upside for our shareholder base. And then lastly, at Point Leamington in the Buckins camp, that's a zinc gold rich deposit. It's got a substantial historic resource on there. We're looking to update that resource, and we've got targets generated that are isolated, very similar to the Point Leamington deposit itself, looking at historical data, and then we'll be looking to drill test those in early 2020. So we're going to be very, very busy across the portfolio. I mean, in exploration business, you only need one program can really change things for the better. And given the valuation that we had and sustained with the drawdown that we had last year in the base metal space due to the trade wars, it's compelling upside from here, most certainly. And I've been a big, big buyer over the past 9-10 months seeing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, some other big buyers really have been central banks all around the world are eating up the gold like crazy. You mentioned the potential impeding trade war with China. Should that continue to escalate, what do you think that's going to do for the numbers, for gold, silver, and for Callinex?
Well, for the precious metal space, it's going to be a key driver in, I think, any kind of more unrest you have, whether it be the trade wars that are occurring for China, concerns about global growth, or any of this kind of geopolitical unrest that you're seeing in the Middle East, is going to have a positive impact on gold. In terms of Callinex itself, obviously we're going to have some exposure to precious metals because the deposit styles that we're exploring for do have a rather substantial precious metals component to them in many of them. But irrespective of that, what's really going to drive Callinex forward is going to be with the drill bit and having exploration success.
Now, do you personally own shares?
Yes, I own just under 5% of the company myself, and my family also has a substantial position. Okay,
so you are heavily invested yourself. How passionate are you about the business? I mean, like, what does it mean to you to get things right?
Well, I mean, Lily, this is what I live to do, is explore. I've found that out about myself, so I'm quite excited. I mean, this is really my sole focus in life, is to make these discoveries and create these opportunities for our shareholder base moving forward. And by doing so, obviously, we'll create wealth for myself and my family.
Honestly, for me, it's an exciting time to be involved in this space. I see all the telltale signs that are leading towards a huge rise in gold, and I think a lot of the people, the viewers here, my audience, are in the same boat. They can feel it coming, they can sense it coming, and they want to protect themselves. They want to get their assets into something a little bit more of a safe haven. So for people who are listening to this interview and they're like, you know what, this sounds like a good way to go. How do they follow you? How do they learn more from you guys and get involved with Callinex specifically?
Oh, you can start by visiting our website at callinex.ca, and our contact information is on there, so you can feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to have a conversation about what we're up to. with exploration across their portfolio, and also have a conversation about the markets if needed.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, I strongly want to encourage people to check it out. Any just final thoughts about the general state of what Donald Trump has been doing? They say the economy is going well, but I kind of think he may be being positioned to take the fall for a huge crash. Granted, this is pure speculation on my part right now, but that's how I see things coming down the road. What do you see in the coming months or even years happening with the markets in the U.S. and globally?
Well, I think that politicians are in the business of getting reelected, so they're going to do everything in their power to continue to drive that market and the economy forward to get reelected. And you're seeing that not just in the United States. I think you're seeing that globally with the kind of the government policy that you're seeing put out there. And so I do think that the market will continue to remain strong in the near term, at least until this next presidential election cycle. And then I think everything could change from that. I mean, recessions are normal. There's nothing to be afraid of a recession. It's part of the business cycle, economic cycle. And it's really, in terms of managing your own portfolio, just anticipating that before you participate in the market and your portfolio allocation accordingly.
Yeah, it's always all about staying 2 steps ahead. And that's why I've been paying attention to you guys, because I know you're doing just that, which is good for you, good for your shareholders, and just a good thing to do in general. So I strongly want to encourage people to check it out. Callinex.ca is the website. Links will be located in the description below. Once again, Max, thanks so much for joining us again here on Press for Truth.
Thanks so much. It's great talking to you again.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.